one of the most common things that we get questions from our community is, when is Dr. Joe going to talk about abundance? And I was like, I don't want to talk about that. There's other people that can talk about that. I don't want to talk about that because I think people have hang-ups about the relationship with money or beliefs or programs, and it's like talking about religion or politics. I just kind of set it aside. It's your own business. And they said, why don't you teach something on it? And what did I say? No, I don't want to. And they asked me again, and then I said, I don't want to. And then I had to have a talk with myself. I said, hey, Joe Dispenza, what is your mission? What is your purpose? What calls you? What is it that gets you up in the morning? I was like, well, to help people, to make a difference in people's lives, to make them more whole, more happy, more healthy, more creative, more free. And I'm like, well, if you teach an abundance course, you can help people too. I was like, oh no, I got to take on this opportunity. Because my mission really is to transform individuals so that they can transform their lives in some way. There is so many ways. There is so much abundance in life. You could have an abundance, financial abundance, and you can have wealth and money, yes? You could have an abundance of energy, an abundance of vitality, an abundance of health. That could be abundant, yes or no? And could you have an abundance of love in an intimate relationship, or an abundance of love in the relationships with your family and your friends? Can you have an abundance of friends? Can you have an abundance of your homes, or abundance in your homes or in your living situation? Could you have an abundance of time? Whoa. I dream about that. Could you have an abundance of freedom? And a lot of people, they want to create abundance because they want to be free. Yes? And that used to be my definition of abundance, the freedom to do whatever I want. And it's evolved to having way more than I need. Like so much more than I need that if I gave it away, it wouldn't matter. That's how abundant people feel. Like they know that they can create abundance. Why would they restrain themselves from doing that? When you have more than you need, you naturally will give it away. Could you have an abundance of mystical and new experiences in your life? That would be so much more than a yacht to me. You with me? But you could have an abundance of synchronicities. Yes? How about an abundance of opportunities? Could you have an abundance of material things? Is there anything wrong in the kingdom with that? No. When people create abundance, I just want them to know that they can create. That's the journey. They get good at creating, if that's what they want to get good at, if it's abundance. But you could have art, and you could have shoes, and clothes, and jewelry, and boats and cars. You could have an abundance of material things, and that would be okay too, yes? And could you have an abundance of virtue? Could you be more compassionate? Could you be more kind? Can you be more patient? Could you be more generous? Can you be more wise? That would more joyful, more loving. Wouldn't that be an abundance of something as well? You can't sit on your couch and wait for it to come. You're just in the consciousness of Amazon Prime. You got to do something. You got to get up, and I don't care what it is. Even if you're going to create reality, you got to stop doing something and start doing something else. You got to choose you. You got to get out of your resting state and do something. And you got to come up against the unconscious belief that you're not worthy of wealth, or you're not worthy of the freedom that you could have from living that life. You'd have to come up against that belief in order to stop believing that and start believing in something else. And if we have been programmed by the information that we're exposed to that tells us that on some level we're limited, we believe the thoughts we keep thinking over and over again. So much so they become so hardwired that we're unconscious to them. And everything is status quo until you want to create something in your life, and naturally that belief will come up. Because that's what stopped you the whole time. But you were just unaware of it. Come on, you would have to become conscious of that unconscious belief and move beyond it. Yes?